Hello everyone, welcome back to Talk Fluent. We're so happy you're here with us today. If you're trying to sound more like a real American English speaker instead of sounding like a grammar textbook, then today's episode is exactly what you need. Grab your coffee, relax, and let's learn together.
Hey everyone, it's great to have you back. You know, reported speech is one of those grammar topics that seems easy until you actually hear native speakers talking. Then suddenly you realize people don't always speak the way textbooks teach.
That's so true. I remember when I first started paying attention to everyday conversations. People were dropping words, changing tenses differently, and making reported speech sound so natural that I almost didn't recognize it as grammar anymore.
Exactly, and that's why today's lesson is so valuable. We're going to show you how Americans really use reported speech in everyday conversations with friends, coworkers, family members, and even strangers.
By the end of this episode, you'll know when to change the tense, when not to change it, how to make your English sound relaxed, and how to avoid the mistakes that instantly make your speech sound unnatural.
Before we jump in, we've got a question for you. What's the hardest grammar topic you've ever learned in English? Is it reported speech, prepositions, verb tenses, or something else? Tell us in the comments because we'd love to know.
And if you're enjoying these practical English lessons, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Talk Fluent, and share it with a friend who's learning English too. Every week we help you sound more confident and more natural.
All right, let's stop talking about learning English and actually start learning it together.
Let's begin with the foundation. Reported speech simply means telling someone what another person said without using their exact words. Instead of repeating the quotation, you're reporting the message.
The basic structure is very simple. Subject plus reporting verb plus that plus reported clause. For example, Sarah said that she was tired. Mike told me that he couldn't come. My teacher explained that practice makes perfect. The word that is often optional in everyday American English.
Exactly, most native speakers will simply say, Sarah said she was tired, instead of Sarah said that she was tired. Both are correct, but dropping that sounds more casual and natural.
Let's look at a few examples. Direct speech, I love this movie. Reported speech, she said she loved that movie. Direct speech, I'm hungry. Reported speech, he said he was hungry. Direct speech, we're leaving soon. Reported speech, they said they were leaving soon.
Now here's something interesting. In real American conversations, people often don't worry about changing every tense perfectly if the meaning is still clear. Imagine your friend says, I'm sick. 5 minutes later you tell another friend, Jake said he's sick. You could also say Jake said he was sick. Both sound natural because the situation is still true.
That's something many English learners don't realize. Textbooks often insist on changing the tense every time, but native speakers focus on communication more than strict grammar rules.
Think about your own daily life. Your mom says dinner is ready. You walk upstairs and tell your brother, Mom said dinner's ready, not Mom said dinner was ready. Since dinner is still ready, we usually keep the present tense.
Here's another example. Your boss says the meeting starts at 10. You tell your coworker, the boss said the meeting starts at 10. Again, because the meeting hasn't happened yet, keeping the present tense sounds completely normal.
But if you're talking about something finished in the past, changing the tense makes more sense. My vacation was amazing. She said her vacation had been amazing. I bought a new car. He said he had bought a new car. Although even here, many Americans simply say, he said he bought a new car.
See how flexible spoken English is. That's why listening to real conversations is so important. Can you think of someone who told you something today? Try reporting it out loud. Maybe your friend said, I'm busy. Can you say, my friend said, go ahead and practice?
Here's another fun exercise. Imagine your teacher says the homework is easy. How would you tell your parents? You'd probably say, my teacher said the homework is easy. Now imagine yesterday your teacher said the test was difficult. You could report it by saying, my teacher said the test was difficult. Notice that native speakers often keep the same tense when it still feels natural.
Let's also look at negative sentences. I'm not coming. She said she wasn't coming. I don't know. He said he didn't know. We can't stay. They said they couldn't stay. Nothing complicated here. Just change the sentence naturally while keeping the meaning.
Here's a question for you. Can you report this sentence? My sister says I love pizza. Try saying it before we answer. The answer is, my sister said she loved pizza. Or in casual conversation, my sister says she loves pizza. Both can work depending on the situation.
We'd love to see your own examples. Write one direct sentence and one reported sentence in the comments below. Practicing this way helps your brain remember patterns much faster. So here's the quick summary. Reported speech means telling someone what another person said. The basic structure is simple, the word that is often dropped, and Americans frequently choose the version that sounds most natural instead of following every textbook rule perfectly.
Now that you've learned the basic idea of reported speech, let's make your English sound even more natural. One thing native speakers do all the time is report conversations without making them sound formal.
That's right, if you read a grammar book, you'll often see perfect reported speech with every tense changed correctly. But when Americans are chatting with friends, they usually keep things simple.
Imagine your coworker says, "I'm working from home tomorrow." Later you tell another coworker, "She said she's working from home tomorrow." You could say she was working, but because tomorrow hasn't happened yet, keeping the present form sounds very natural.
Here's another one, your friend texts you, "I can't make it tonight." You tell someone else, "Jake said he can't make it tonight." Since tonight is still in the future, Americans often keep can't instead of changing it to couldn't.
The biggest goal is clarity. Native speakers choose the version that makes the message easiest to understand.
Let's compare formal and informal speech. Formal, the manager stated that the project had been completed. Informal, the manager said the project's done. Formal, she explained that she would arrive later. Informal, she said she'll be here later.
Notice how contractions make everything sound smoother. You'll hear he's, she's, they've, and we're constantly in everyday American English.
Here's a conversation. Emma says, "I'm getting married next month." Later, "I heard Emma's getting married next month." Instead of saying, Emma said that she was getting married the following month. Both are correct, but one sounds like a real conversation.
Exactly, native speakers often report information indirectly. Someone asks, "Did you hear about Emma?" You answer, "Yeah, I heard she's getting married." You didn't even say Emma said.
Another common expression is he was like. For example, "My brother was like, no way," or "My brother was like he couldn't believe it." It's very informal and extremely common among younger speakers.
You'll also hear she goes. For example, "So she goes she doesn't want pizza and then 5 minutes later she's eating my slice." It's not traditional grammar, but it's part of real spoken American English.
Of course, if you're taking an English exam or writing an academic paper, stick with standard reported speech. But if your goal is sounding natural in conversation, listening to these everyday patterns is very helpful.
Let's do a quick practice. Direct speech, "I love this coffee shop." How would you report it? You could say, "My friend said she loved that coffee shop." Or casually, "My friend said she loves that coffee shop."
Here's another, "My car isn't starting." Later that morning, "My neighbor said his car isn't starting." Since the problem still exists, the present form sounds perfectly natural.
Now let's share 3 easy tips. First, focus on the meaning instead of memorizing complicated rules. Second, listen to real conversations through podcasts, movies, and interviews. Third, practice reporting conversations you actually have every day.
For example, after dinner, think about what everyone said. Your mom said dinner was ready. Your brother said he was tired. Your friend said she's going to the gym. Turning real conversations into reported speech is fantastic practice.
Here's a challenge. After watching this episode, report 3 conversations from your day in English and write one of them in the comments. We'd love to read your examples.
Remember the key points from this section. Americans often keep present tenses when the information is still true. Contractions make speech sound natural, and informal reporting styles are everywhere in everyday conversations.
Let's move on to another important use of reported speech. It's not only for repeating what someone said, it's also used for sharing advice, opinions, instructions, promises, and even gossip.
Think about your daily conversations. Your doctor says, "Drink more water." Later you tell your family, "The doctor told me to drink more water." Notice that we use told someone to when reporting commands or advice.
Here's another example. Your teacher says, "Study a little every day." You report it by saying, "My teacher told us to study a little every day." Very simple and very common.
Now let's talk about advice. My dad said I should save more money. My friend told me I should apply for the job. These structures appear constantly in American conversations.
And here's something you'll hear every day. "My mom told me not to stay up late." Negative commands use, told plus someone plus not to plus verb. That's an easy pattern to remember.
Let's imagine a real-life situation. You're talking with your friend. "What did your boss say?" "He told me to finish the report before lunch." "What did your coach say?" "She told us to believe in ourselves."
See how useful this is. Reported speech helps you share information quickly without repeating exact quotations.
Americans also summarize conversations instead of reporting every word. Someone asks, "What happened at the meeting?" You might answer, "They said sales are improving, they want to hire more people, and they're planning a new office." No need to repeat every sentence exactly.
Here's another practical situation. Your family asks, "How was your interview?" You reply, "The interviewer said they liked my experience and they'd call me next week." That's smooth, natural English.
Tone matters too. If you're excited, your voice naturally becomes more energetic. My sister said she's having a baby. If you're sharing bad news, your tone becomes softer. He said he wasn't feeling well. The grammar stays the same, but your delivery changes.
Here's a mini practice. I'll say the direct speech. You report it, "I'm moving to Chicago." Your answer, "She said she was moving to Chicago." Ready for another? "We don't have enough time." You answer, "They said they didn't have enough time."
Great job, now try one yourself. Think about something your best friend told you this week. Pause for a second and report it out loud in English. The more you speak, the more natural you'll become.
Here's another tip. Don't try to translate directly from your first language. Instead, think about the message. Ask yourself, "What am I trying to communicate?" Then report it naturally.
Before we finish this section, here's one last challenge. Tell us in the comments about the funniest thing someone told you recently. Write it using reported speech. It's excellent practice and it's always fun reading your stories. To review, reported speech isn't just for repeating words. It's for sharing advice, instructions, opinions, promises, and everyday conversations naturally. Focus on communicating the idea clearly, and your English will sound much more like real American English.
Welcome back. Now it's time for one of our favorite parts of the show because we're going to talk about mistakes. And honestly, we've both made every single mistake we're about to share today.
Absolutely. I used to think reported speech was just about changing every verb to the past tense. Then I started listening to native speakers and realized real conversations are much more flexible.
Let's look at the first common mistake. Someone says, "I'm happy." Many learners report it as, "She said she was happy," even when she's still happy at that moment. There's nothing wrong with that sentence, but in everyday American English you'll often hear, "She said she's happy."
So here's the comparison. Incorrect for many everyday situations, she said she was happy. Better when the feeling is still true, she said she's happy. Choose the version that matches the real situation instead of changing the tense automatically.
The second mistake is using tell and say the same way. People often say, "He said me the answer." But that's not correct. We say, "He told me the answer," or "He said the answer." Remember that tell usually needs a person after it.
Here's an easy way to remember. Say something, tell someone, try these examples. Incorrect, she said me she was busy. Correct, she told me she was busy. Correct, she said she was busy.
The third mistake is reporting every single word exactly. Imagine your friend talks for 5 minutes. Native speakers don't repeat every sentence. They summarize. Instead of saying everything, they might simply say, "He said he had a great trip, met some amazing people, and wants to go back next year." That's much more natural.
Here's another example. Your coworker explains a long meeting. Later you tell your friend, "They said the project is moving forward and everyone needs to finish their part by Friday." Simple, clear, natural.
Mistake number 4 is forgetting pronouns. Someone says, "I forgot my keys." Some learners report, "She said I forgot my keys." That changes the meaning completely. The correct sentence is, "She said she forgot her keys." Always think about whose point of view you're reporting.
Here's a quick practice. Direct speech, "I'm tired," which is correct. A, he said I was tired. B, he said he was tired. The answer is B. Now another one. We finished our homework. A, they said they finished their homework. B, they said we finished our homework. If you're reporting their words, A is the better choice.
And don't worry if you make these mistakes. Every English learner does. Even native speakers change structures depending on the conversation, so perfection isn't the goal. Communication is.
Here's a funny example. Imagine someone says, "My dog stole my sandwich." Then you tell another friend, "He said I stole his sandwich." Now suddenly you're the sandwich thief. One little pronoun changed the whole story.
That's why it's so important to think about meaning instead of memorizing grammar formulas. Focus on the message first. The grammar will become easier with practice.
Here's your challenge. Write one sentence using said and another using told in the comments. It's a great way to check whether you really understand the difference.
Keep practicing, keep listening, and don't be afraid of making mistakes. Every conversation you have is another chance to improve.
Remember, mistakes aren't signs that you're failing. They're signs that you're actively using the language, and that's exactly how fluency grows.
It's time for a fun activity. We'll give you 2 sentences and you choose the one that sounds more natural. Say your answer out loud before we explain it.
Situation 1, your friend says, "I'm busy today." Which sounds better? A, she said she was busy today. B, she said she's busy today. If today hasn't finished yet, option B often sounds more natural in everyday American English because the information is still true.
Situation 2, your brother says, "I bought a new laptop." Which works? A, he said he bought a new laptop. B. He said he had bought a new laptop. Both are grammatically correct, but in casual conversation, most Americans would naturally choose option A.
Situation 3. Your teacher says read this chapter tonight, which is correct. A. My teacher said read this chapter tonight. B. My teacher told us to read the chapter that night. Option B is the better reported form because commands usually use told someone to.
Situation 4. Your coworker says we're having pizza for lunch. You tell another coworker A. They said they're having pizza for lunch. B. They said they were having pizza for lunch. If lunch hasn't happened yet, option A sounds very natural in conversation.
Now here's a variation. If you're writing a formal report about yesterday's meeting, you might choose more traditional tense changes. If you're chatting with friends over coffee, simpler structures usually sound better. Always match your language to the situation.
Here's your final challenge. Think about a conversation you had this morning. Now report 3 things that were said completely in English. Say them out loud, then write your favorite sentence in the comments so everyone can practice together.
Remember, real conversations matter more than perfect grammar. The goal is to communicate clearly, confidently, and naturally.
What a fantastic lesson. Today you've learned that reported speech isn't just a grammar rule. It's a tool that helps you tell stories, share information, and have smoother conversations in English.
Let's quickly review the 3 big ideas we covered. First, we learned the basic structure of reported speech and saw that native speakers often leave out that and focus on natural communication. Second, we explored how Americans frequently keep present tenses when the information is still true, and how informal spoken English is often different from textbook examples. Third, we learned how to report advice, commands, opinions, and everyday conversations while sounding friendly and confident.
If you've been worried about making grammar mistakes, remember this. Every fluent speaker improved by practicing, making errors, and trying again. Keep speaking, keep listening, and trust the process.
Before you go, here's one last question for you. What's the most interesting thing someone told you this week? Try writing it in reported speech in the comments. We'd love to read your examples and see you practicing with other learners.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please like this video, share it with a friend who's learning English, leave a comment below, and subscribe to Talk Fluent for more practical lessons that help you sound like a real native speaker.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. Keep practicing a little every day, stay curious, stay confident, and remember that fluency comes from using English, not from chasing perfection. See you next time.